Thank you everyone for joining us, whether you're coming to this session live or watching the replay. My name is Rachel and I'm a co-founder of Be Wholesome, and we have beautiful Inga Dennett here with us this morning, and we're discussing a very important topic that we're very passionate about, which is children and basically their obsession with trends that can be unhealthy for us over the long term, so skincare and whatnot. Inga, I'll get you to introduce yourself and the reason that you're so passionate about this topic, because I believe it's really important to give people some context as to, you know, these classes aren't just something we pluck from the thin blue sky. They're usually as a result of things that we're personally going through with our own family. And I think it's really important to speak to that. So thank you for being here. I'm excited to do this class with you. And yeah, tell us a little bit more about why this is important to you.
Thank you. So yeah, thank you for coming, everyone. So yeah, my name's Inga, and I have three stepdaughters who are now 23, 22, and almost 18, and still our almost 11-year-old daughter. So I've had one, I guess, experience of trends and how they influence our girls, and now I'm experiencing it firsthand with Zell, which has probably been this past year, I'd say 10 onwards. Just this pull to, in a way, belong to whatever trends are happening external to us in the home, which was more easier to, I guess, not be so engaged in when she was in homeschool land. But more so now in school, back to school, I'm really noticing, specifically like the Sol, I can't even say it properly, Sol de Janeiro, the perfumes, the Mecca stuff, the White Fox, all this kind of prolific trends that seem to happen for us, I feel, as parents out of nowhere. But yeah, it's very magnetic for kids. So yeah, I felt like I needed to get us together and just have a conversation around that, especially as mums, and how we might be working to help them belong to themselves first, and so that they can at least discern between the external and the internal and be more driven by the internal than the external.
And that, I just got goosebumps as you said that. And that's a really, I think it's something that I wish these conversations were happening when I was younger. Like these are the conversations and the information, the age of information that we currently have. Not to say marketing didn't exist when we were younger. It had actually, I guess, more of a stronghold because there was very rarely any other competition, regardless, other than what was on the ads on TV. Yeah. But now we're infiltrated with these trends that are everywhere, from every app they open to every show, every Netflix, every banner on everything. And it's like passing on, or at least opening these conversations for ourselves, because we were all young. I think we're all young women on this call. We're all young women in here anyway. But it's like, this is the information that we wish we had been taught or we had been given as young girls, so we could have possibly avoided a lot of the problems, physical health, our hormone health, and our mental health as we progress throughout our adult or teenage and adult years. So that's why these conversations, I feel, are really important. And just before we jumped on the call, I was saying to Inga, yeah, it's pretty deep. It's pretty deep stuff that we talk about, and people think, oh, it's just let them have their fun. But what we see are the core values shifting in these young girls, usually based on the insecurities and the vulnerabilities that they're feeling, and profiting, like companies profiting off literally putting rubbish in front of them, toxins in front of them, and their very strategy is preying on the vulnerabilities and insecurities of our daughters and sons. So it's like, yes, you have to buy a product, or you don't have to, but people lean on product for skincare and they lean on products for many things. But can we be making better choices? And the answer is simple: yes, we can. So let's explore some of the reasons behind these trends, and the why this longing. And when we're talking about specifically today, teens and young girls, if you have experiences, please pop it in the chat. We want this to be as interactive as possible. So if you have a story to share, just raise your hand, click the button, or just pop. I'd love to share on that, and I'll unmute you, and we can have a conversation, because it's through our conversations and our shared experiences that we actually can help one another break down those barriers as well. And I can see Maisie, hello, darling girl, there on the call with her mum, Katie. So that's beautiful to have these young girls showing up, knowing that, hey, I actually get to play a part in my own health and well-being, and then they can influence their friends in a much more positive way.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts with us. So some of the things that I've highlighted, and as I began looking into this topic, for my boys especially, but for in general, I was once a teenage girl. These are the things that sort of came up for me. It was a desire for acceptance and belonging. That was huge. A fear of rejection and criticism. And when we were younger, thank goodness, we didn't have the influence of social media and celebrities as much, but that's what the hand we're dealt with today. The need to feel beautiful and trendy, that's a very innate thing. Everyone deserves to feel beautiful. Peer pressure and societal influence, and an exploration of personal identity. And that's the one I resonate with the most. I don't know whether it was growing up with red hair and freckles that really led me down, like, who am I, really early, because I was the only girl in my whole class that felt different and looked different always. Like, we're a rare breed, which I now know is my greatest strength. But back then it was super hard. And I started to wonder who I am. Why am I here? Why me? And that personal identity, you go down that rabbit hole as a young girl and what that does. So can you talk to any of those points, or in your experience with your daughter now, Inga, what you feel that those trends and that seeking and longing, like what comes up for you in that area?
Yeah, well, I guess we're especially feeling it because of Iselle coming into school now at the age she is, so almost 11, so grade 5, where there is this, the group is very important in belonging and being accepted, and just the influence of products daily for her to navigate, because we're 3 or 4 weeks back into this now, is constant. So there's this constant conversations every day around, okay, so why do you want to do that? Is it, and getting her to reflect back on what's happening throughout the day and how she's feeling in those interactions, and really getting her to be with what's that showing her within herself and how she wants to feel versus what she might get if she does get into the trends, might be fleeting and might not be to the value that she wants to actually move towards in being herself.
Yeah, so it's very much that surface or that instant gratification of, now I have this new perfume, like, will you like me? Like, can I be your friend? It's like their ticket into, and I get goosebumps even saying that. How many times as a young girl you felt you needed that external validation, but it's fleeting and it's very harsh when it's reciprocated on that end. And so one of the things that we on a daily basis, and I think everyone that we have around us in our essential oils community, we have these conversations on the regular where we're always looking for that underlying reason that certain things are occurring, because we've learned enough. For whatever reason we've arrived here in the alternative space, we've learned that we're not going to take someone's word for it anymore. We're not going to just see a marketing slogan that says 100% pure and healthy and believe that that is factual. So it's sort of like our bullshit radars are really, really high, and that's a really good thing. But that's the sort of fire and that's the sort of fire and um, passion that I want to ignite and that we want to ignite as a community in the younger generation so they can begin asking these powerful questions really early on and set a new precedence for what they will and won't accept. So some of the things that I've identified in the longing for, and for those of you on the call, as I said, if anything comes up for you or you want to share an experience personally, please pop it in the chat and we'll talk to it. But some of the things that I could identify based on my own personal experiences and people that I've been working through with aromatherapy in their children, that desire for acceptance and belonging, and we're talking to that topic with regards to skincare today and trends, but it's longing for social acceptance and belonging to that inner circle. It provides a sense of security. So if we can explore that a tiny bit deeper as parents, if we see this like urgent, even them chucking a tantrum, saying, I want this, like even acting out of character, get me this. It's like, okay, I see that. I can hear your pain, but let's explore that a little bit deeper. I'm not saying no, but I just need to understand why this means so much to you. And like it is, they might go, oh, you're making such a big deal of it. Yeah, I am. Get used to it. Like that's just,
Can't you just be normal, Mum?
yeah, can't you just be normal? Have you looked at me? Like, have you met me? Like, but it's true. But it's like this constant, it would be easier, right? To just not care. It would be easier just to allow the world to raise our children and every marketing company to gobble them up and to just be consumers of all things rubbish until their last breath. Like that's super easy to do. What isn't easy is having this constant um, the miracle of the conversations that we have that might be taxing or might be draining or might be repetitive, but it's constantly asking them to play a role in their own life and health. It's it's never ending. It's what I believe is the most important part of being a parent. The fear of criticism and rejection is huge, but usually that ties into I don't want to stand out in a bad way. Like if I don't look like them or act like them, I'm going to set myself out as a target. And they're longing for the validation and approval. The influence of social media and celebrities is huge. And unfortunately, we can't completely eliminate that from our children's lives, but we want them to develop a really, really good BS radar for themselves for the future. These are why these conversations are important. Otherwise, they're the product. And I was having this conversation with my son about video games the other night. You are the product. If you're literally consuming this content day in, day out, you don't feel whole without it. You don't feel yourself like you're seeking it out, actively seeking it out, prioritizing it before real life situations and friendships and scenarios. You are the product of that mega corporation that preys on you buying weird currency online that I don't know, buy skin for something. Like you are the product. So when we give our children this power and this voice to see through it, it really, really will help them. The desire for beautiful or trendy is self-esteem related. We know that. But it's like the standards that are being set are also very unrealistic. It is so important to point out and to show them all these filters. They're so fake. They can tighten your waist and push your boobs up and give you lips that aren't there. And it's like constantly even showing them how absurd this is. AI is making it nearly impossible to know who is actually a human and who is actually a robot. Our children need to know this. They need to be armed with this information. Otherwise, they're going to be a consumer forever of the wrong things. Curiosity and exploration of identity, make that a positive thing with the powerful questions. So why do you think this means so much to you? Tell me. Like I've never raised a teenage girl before. Like I actually haven't. But say if it's your first teenage girl, I've never done this before. Please help me understand what this means. Like keep that dialogue going. The peer pressure is huge. Oh, that's where you're at, Katie. Yeah. Did you want to talk to that a bit more if I unmute you? Or you're like, yeah.
Yeah. That's where we're at. So Macy's, although she's homeschooled, she's quite significantly she's quite a significant part of her dance studio. And so with dance studio comes makeup, comes outfits, comes things, all of that stuff. And we're finding that that is leaching into our day-to-day life. And so we're at, well, why do you want to put the foundation on just to go grocery shopping? Why do you have the lipstick? She's giggling at me in the background. Yeah, why are we doing that when prior to this it was pure just competition makeup, like as clean as we could get, but it was still makeup, like, and it was set for competition. So that's where we're at. Why is this coming into our day to day, considering the people that she's around really don't wear it?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It's so powerful and it's real, like it's what you're experiencing now. What I love about that is, for one, she's one of the most naturally beautiful little darlings I've ever met in my life. But second to that, it's like that's the part, it's like not saying makeup is bad, like you're terrible for wearing it. It's just understanding it's just understanding like what it does for us. One, are we using as natural as possible? Two, it makes me feel when I go out to dinner, I don't wear my tracksuit pants and my Ugg boots and my undies on the outside of my pants. I like to feel beautiful, but I know that I'm also still beautiful in my tracksuit pants with my hair everywhere, and like it's okay. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about this desire where we need to be able to feel as beautiful without that external validation, without that layering of makeup. And for me, what am I hiding behind when I can't exit the house without this image or this mask on? Like, what is it really? So that sort of leads into the insecurity, comparisons, the need for instant gratification. Katie, you've talked about this before. We always are talking about our looks, or we're always talking about the physical before the nature of people as well. So it's sort of like giving compliments usually is on someone's physical appearance, always, not you have the biggest heart, you're the most selfless person I've ever met, so it's like that's natural to all of us. Oh, you're getting so big, like you're growing up so much, like we all do it, but it's like catching ourselves as we do that, and desire for control in an uncertain world. So that's sort of the last point that I had. But what are we trying to avoid? So when we're talking about glow your own way, this is the part where I feel like, as I mentioned, no one is perfect. We're all on a pathway towards just making better decisions than we were yesterday, because everything we're doing is compounding. So do you on the call, or if you're watching it back, you can comment under this video. Do you want to have a guess as to how many products that the average teenage girl applies to herself, or chemicals, sorry, not products, a day? So the average teen uses how many products a day?
25.
Okay. You want to have a guess, Maze or Katie? How many does the average teen, or Brooke, in your experience, what do you think? 10. Okay. Yeah. So drum roll. No. The average teen uses 12 to 15 personal care products a day. So if they're not products that are regulated, because the regulation of beauty products isn't that strong, just like the essential oils industry can say, oh, 100% pure, and have 2% of the said oil in the product and the rest is rubbish. So you're exposing your skin to 168 unique chemicals in that time frame. So why does this matter? because everything we put on our skin goes into our bloodstream. That's just a fact. It's what it does. So how does this create issues for us? How does it show up in women, in teens, in young boys? How does this show up? What does this toxic load do? Why is it so important? Why are you such a nag, mum? Because the reality is that it does have compounding effects. It does create a toxic load that our bodies must work even harder to eliminate. So when you think of an immune system and you think of, wow, I'm catching more this or that, I seem to be getting a little bit more sick this around this time. Like every single chemical we're applying to our skin leaking into our bloodstream, creating a toxic load, means our body has to work harder to come back to homeostasis. So the amount that we can decrease that toxic load is going to help our physical health overall. And imagine 168 unique chemicals daily times 40 years, times 60 years, times 70 years. I opened my where's she now, 84-year-old's drawer, and the makeup that woman has stored, I swear it's from 1920, and the smell from that drawer. But you keep it just in case you need a good lippy. Like, she has amazing red lips. I love her red lipstick, but it was unregulated back then, incredibly unregulated back then. But it's like, it's nothing new, but we're just exploring what we now know thanks to all of the information that we have at our hands, so we can make informed decisions. So the parabens are used as preservatives, and they can interfere in hormone production, mimicking estrogen in the body. So when people talk about their hormones are out of whack, or they've got a teenage daughter that's acting like a crazy person, yes, the makeup you're applying and the perfume you're spraying on your neck and the deodorant you're putting into your glands matters. It matters on a huge scale. It's not insignificant. In fact, it is directly impacting your hormones. That is a fact. It's not just me being a nag because I'm too alternative and don't want you to be cool at school. It's hurting your system, and it's not healthy for your mental health. So the phthalates, I always get that wrong. Phthalates, it's like anemone. Found in products that include fragrances. They're linked to the reproductive health issues, and developmental disruptions. So when you look at all the other areas of life that we're perhaps digesting or taking or using or applying chemicals outside of skincare products, I know we're only talking about, but can you imagine how much we're exposing our bodies and our systems to these external things that are really, really changing our health and well-being? Sulfates are commonly used in cleansers and face washes. They strip the skin of their natural oils. So it's like once you start the process of the best skincare range trending ever, it's stripping your skin, if it's filled with things like that, stripping your skin of its natural barrier, its natural oils, leading to dryness, irritation, breakouts, long-term issues that you think, oh, I need that skincare. I need that more. I need more of that. So it's literally the best sales gimmick ever. It's selling you it's making the problem. I can think of another area that does this, and it's giving you the solution all in one beautifully crafted package. And that is what pisses me off, really, because it's not healthy, and it's actually really causing long-term side effects and damage to our girls and boys. Synthetic fragrances, these are often loaded in undisclosed chemicals that can cause allergic reactions, disrupt hormones, and irritate the skin. So you can smell the difference between a $2 lavender and a doTERRA lavender. It gives me an instant headache. You can also smell the difference when someone walks past covered in perfume, and it sets Katie off into an amazingly incredible asthma attack. It's overwhelming, and it's not healthy. Like every part of you wants to get out, wants to get away. I was in an Uber in Queensland, and I was almost gassed out by this synthetic thing that he had going at the front of the car. I had to hold my breath for like 30 minutes. It was horrible. little breaths, but ended up with a major headache that night. Benzoyl peroxide is a popular acne treatment. It is often too harsh, and it does lead to the redness and the peeling, which, you know, again, people will advocate for it. It's necessary. It'll peel back all the layers of your skin. Yes, yes, yes. But like, really? Can it be beneficial for your skin long term? There have been studies showing that that will lead to premature aging of the skin, because you're constantly triggering your skin into being bright red, inflamed, and peeling, when it's not natural. It's not what happens. Don't wake up every Friday and it's time for your face to peel. You're not a snake. You're a bloody human. I'm going on a rant. I'm out of control. So there's some, I don't want to like bore you with all of that, but even if we could educate our girls and boys to turn over whatever product they're choosing, makeup, deodorant, toothpaste, anything, cleanser, toner, moisturizer, and check for those 5. Just check and just go, oh, okay, I didn't know that. That's an informed decision then. Then you can choose to still apply it, but at least you're very well aware of what you're applying to your skin. So is that something that you think that like Zell would be open to, Inga? Or I know that you're obviously working with a lot of women and children in your line of work, in counseling and trauma and all that sort of stuff. But I guess knowing thy enemy, like, you know, knowing what we're up against, what does that do to psychology?
Like the information. I think if you're putting it like that what you're putting on your body is directly affecting these body systems, and then they get to choose what they do from there, then we can't really say we haven't given the education. The information's there. It's available. So it's not just me making something up, as you said, for you not to fit in and be cool and all that kind of stuff. Like, I care about you and your health.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the long-termness of it that like, as mum, I said to, when I opened our cupboard and saw a toothpaste that was like, it stood out because it was hot pink. I was like, what the hell is that? Like, how did that get in my cabinet? What is going on? But that also told me a few things about what perhaps was going on for my son. Does that make sense? Like, it was like a flag. It was like, oh, that's new. So what's going on for him? Who has said, oh, your teeth aren't very white? Like, what is it? How has that gotten into our home? But what is it saying about where he's at and mentally as well? And like I said, be much easier to just go, oh, sick, he bought a toothpaste, it was on special, great. But I just can't turn off my curiosity. I want that for him. I want him to be aware. That's really what it comes down to, just being aware.
And I think in those conversations as well, you're noticing the products, you're also noticing, to letting them know that you're seeing potentially something deeper that's going on within them that they might not have the language to speak about. So asking those open-ended questions and getting curious with it will help build that connection between us and them.
Yeah, that's really true. Yeah. And I find, yeah, sharing, being vulnerable enough to share. And like I said, I've only got boys, but I still talk a lot about what it's like to be a young girl and my insecurities and things like that, because we're all human, having a human experience. It's like that. It can be very isolating. It can be, polarizing. And Katie said, Mace goes from a homeschool environment where, anything goes. You can show up in anything and no one cares and no one asks. And then you're put into the opposite of that, at the end of the other side of the spectrum, where it is glitter and glam, and I don't know all the words, I was practicing before I got on, but like, yes, queen, and all that doesn't suit me. I don't say those words, but that's the reality that they're walking into. So if you had these as doors, and she's like walked out of the homeschool door covered in mud and there's whatever's going on, and then into that, it's like a smack in the face of like vanity, but it's like also a necessary part of success in something she loves doing. So it's sort of like, it's not to say remove her from that. It's just like, just being hyper vigilant and aware of like, wow, this is deeper. How does that make you feel? You like, like I said before, I know that I love dressing up. Nothing feels nicer than, sitting at dinner and you're all dolled up with someone you love, but also them knowing and me knowing that they love me when I'm also at my worst is self-love and is self-acceptance that I want for every girl and boy.
And is the belonging as well.
True. Yeah. So let's dive into some of the tips and the tricks that we use in our world to simplify skincare and to simplify what Mother Nature has provided for us. This could go off on many different tangents, but I have notes because I'm like, stay here. But it's like, you can't improve on that. You don't walk out to a plant and just be like, oh, I just take this petal off and I'm going to put this petal on because you'll grow better. Like, it's just perfect the way it is. And what we touched on earlier, it's like we can go into synthetic everything, medicines, skincare, air fresheners, you name it. But they're just trying to mimic or market or pass themselves off as natural, when the truth is most of them are the furthest thing from it. And the further we go from what is natural, the more we as humans and our body and our system have to fight to come back to homeostasis, to come back to balance. So this is just saying, like I said, knowing those 5 sort of areas to avoid, roll over the product and have a look and go, oh, I thought that was natural. Well played, marketing. I didn't know that was in there. I might choose this instead. So these are just some of the things that I do. Inga, I would love you to also jump in and to share your personal experiences, especially with Zell, what you do in your home or what you're trying to move towards. Katie, if you have any suggestions as well. Lavender, tea tree, and frankincense are the 3 oils that if I just said, it's all you'll ever need for affordable and effective skincare solutions in your home. And doTERRA, lavender, tea tree, and frankincense. Nothing else. Don't get it from Kmart and rub it on your face, because you will need to call the poisons hotline. That is the truth. So there is a huge difference when it comes to the quality and the sourcing and the purity of these. That's another class in itself, but the information's there. I can send it to you if you like. So when we talk about lavender, it is a Swiss Army knife of skin essential oils. So it soothes irritated skin. It's a natural antihistamine for any bugs, bites, mozzie bites, sandfly bites, grazers, cuts. The amount of times we've been places where this has been our first aid savior. It helps reduce acne. So it will help your skin heal itself naturally. And lavender, when you go down the line of eczema and psoriasis and things like that, lavender is the go-to, as well as Roman chamomile for those deeper. Your skin's screaming at you by that point. Your skin's screaming at you by the point where you've got eczema and psoriasis showing up in your hot spots and things like that. And it's usually tied back to your gut health, usually tied back to candida, so the overactive bad bacteria in your gut, as opposed to balanced gut health, which again, probiotics and a healthy diet and eliminating sugar and all of those things. But lavender essential oil is an oil that every teenage girl on the planet deserves to experience once in her lifetime, and boy, and I say that because my teenage boys have used it for years. Tea tree, or also melaleuca, a natural antibacterial, perfect for acne prone skin, so you can blend the 2 together, and it acts as an effective spot treatment as well. So it won't burn the living crap out of you. I don't remember the dead old days, or you're just hating life. But it is so gentle and so natural, but it's also incredibly powerful as a preventative. So if your skin, and as you're detoxifying and choosing to move away from the chemical products that your face has become accustomed to, remembering the cycle we spoke of before, the very product that is sold to you as the solution is also causing the dryness and the redness and the inflammation. And so then you keep using that and you get like, you know, a day or so of niceness, and then it goes back to the symptoms as your skin adjusts. So your skin will go through a cleansing and a detoxifying process when you stop using what you're used to using, that was unhealthy for you in the past. So tea tree as an antibacterial is perfect for that, but it's also something we can use proactively on more acne prone skin. Frankincense is the king of oils and supports cellular regeneration. So anything scar related or evening out your skin tone or wanting that deeper nourishment, because the skin is the biggest organ on our entire body, frankincense is incredibly powerful. It's everywhere. Like everywhere I have a bottle of frankincense. In terms of its anti-inflammatory properties, so powerful for our skin, but also our system and our mood and our mental health. So again, remembering at the beginning of the call, I said everything you're putting on your skin goes into your blood. So if our body and our system is inflamed, I'm applying frankincense on my face because it's great for beauty and great for skin and great for an even skin tone. But my body is inflamed, possibly because of, you know, bad food choices or whatever. The frankincense is going to work in every cell of my body within seconds. Once it's applied to my skin, it shows up in our blood within seconds and then goes to every cell of our body. So not only are you treating something as a spot treatment, like we know we're applying it to the face, but it also will show up in every other area, which is the beauty of something so natural. My body doesn't have to fight against the frankincense to make it, you know, to make things worse or to fight so hard to make it work. It is natural and the body will absorb that. So basically it's the swaps that we have done when it's DIY. So before I swap to that, Inga, have you any other suggestions if you like had a go-to oil that you lean on for skin in your home as an individual oil? What's your favorite and what's Zell's favorite?
We've been using the HD Clear for Zell, and I use the Virage cleaner and the moisturizer, and she uses that maybe every couple of days. So we've been able to for her to use that, which has been good. But yeah, definitely lavender for the skin and also the relaxation properties and the calming effect. Absolutely.
Yeah, because you're aromatically anchored to those smells as well. And when we make these simple swaps, so we're looking at two different ways with doTERRA, and that's one of the things that's incredible about having such access to such pure plant products, is that we can really take everything into our own hands and go DIY. So really knuckle down on, I am going to make this. This ties hugely into the effort-driven reward cycle. If you haven't looked that up, it's a thing that I honestly feel like is missing in not only our lives as adults in this modern world, but for children. The effort-driven reward cycle and the psychology behind that and what is lacking and what is the issue being instant gratification, and anything less is just unacceptable. The effort-driven reward cycle when it comes to making DIY products is powerful. It's like cooking from scratch. Katie, you do it all the time. But it's like when you cook from scratch, it's wholesome. It's filled with love, possibly a few screams and like, you dropped the eggs. But the point is, it's a wholesome experience. So too is when you're making products from scratch that save you a ton of money, that you know are pure, you know your body's not going to have to fight against. And the effort that you've put into it is felt in the love and the energy of the product, of the end result. So a DIY skin toner, an anchored smell from my youth is witch hazel. Witch hazel is just, oh my gosh, it's like the mornings is witch hazel. But adding a few drops of lavender and tea tree to witch hazel is the most effective toner you will ever have. You can go and get a plastic squeezy bottle from Kmart if they require the aesthetically pleasing applicator. But you could also just open the witch hazel bottle, pop a couple of drops of tea tree and lavender in there, and Bob's your uncle. So I know that part of the beauty side of it and the effort-driven reward cycle is that we went to Kmart, and near the registers, they've got like an old empty FCO bottle, exactly. So a fractionated coconut bottle from doTERRA, are great to reuse. So those products, you can present them and make them with your teen in any way that you see fit. The effort you want to put into the jar, you want to put it into the container, that is part and parcel with you making and taking the effort to participate in their beauty regime, to empower them in their beauty regime. So witch hazel, lavender, and tea tree, the basics of a toner. Makeup removal wipes. This can, like I said, be tweaked and changed. But you know, the standard little flat cotton pads that you use for your face. So it's literally, and I'm going to give everyone the recipes and a downloadable with all of this information, so that's fine. But natural makeup remover wipes, a glass jar, a pile of those, so $2 from wherever. You can also get reusable ones, so buy 10 reusable of those pads. Coconut oil, lavender, witch hazel, and submerging those pads into a jar with those products, or the coconut oil, lavender, and witch hazel on the cotton pad. If you have, you know, skin that is breaking out, if you have things like eczema and psoriasis in hotspots, you can tailor your removal wipes to your skin tone, to your needs. You can have them really subtle, you can have them really strong. This is part and parcel with that effort that you're putting into. Everyone's skin is different. I could whip out this frankincense, rub it all over me, lavender, pretty much any oil, even oregano at this point, and my skin's like, yeah, fair enough, that's fine. If you put something on someone else's skin, they will need dilution. So that's where the coconut oil really comes into play, and it penetrates that skin and layers of the skin to help with really soothing removal of makeup and of things. So after dancing and all that sort of stuff, soothing face serum is as simple as getting jojoba oil, I call it.
What's Elle called?
Jojoba.
Joba.
Jojoba oil, and a few drops of frankincense and lavender for a deeply hydrating serum. So I'm just touching on those 3 oils that we move around. But they're the absolute bare minimum basics that exist. If you walk into my bathroom right now, they exist. I'm not saying it because we don't do it. I'm saying it because it's a standard. I don't make my boys don't wear makeup, just going to highlight that for like all purposes. But they're covered, their face is covered in so much dirt after a day at the skate park or a day out and about or playing football. So the makeup remover wipes in terms of young men are just cleansing wipes for their face. So then we expand again and we say, all right, if you're someone that has, like I said, eczema, psoriasis in hotspots, make a little pot of wipes or soothing skin wipes and deepen that blend with oils like Roman chamomile, lavender, juniper berry, frankincense. Support your skin in that area with something so simple ready in your bathroom or around your home that's ready to apply. We traveled Australia for 6.5 years. We'd make pommy wash wipes, which sounds gross, and I have a lot of pommy friends, so no offense. But it was for your bits and your pits when you had no shower because you're in the middle of Northern Territory. So we'd use paper towel as opposed to the little pads, and we'd fold the paper towel. Again, I'll put the recipe in and an example in the information I'll send out. But the paper towels were body wipes. So we'd have things like tea tree in there, lavender, and On Guard and things like that to actually start boosting our immune system as well as giving our body a wash. Those wipes were a mixture of water and coconut oil, and then the essential oils on top of those. So it's like that effort-driven reward cycle of, okay, I'm going to play a role in, instead of just walking into Priceline or Woolworths and grabbing the first well-marketed product. that's where you start to take back your power and participate in it. And making them with your kids and having them over, having their friends over, saying, today I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a full lunchbox container of makeup wipes, and I'll tell you the cost. So we go down to, in DIY, the real savings exist here. Not only health savings, but actual savings. And the world is expensive enough as it is. So if you can save money here, you've got more money for other things that you enjoy. So to give you an example, a 15 ml bottle of tea tree is approximately, doTERRA tea tree is approximately 250 drops of essential oil. So when you're a wholesale member with doTERRA, you'll get that for $26.25 AUD. So when we look at the price per drop, so if I was going to say that to use tea tree and just simply put a drop on a makeup removal pad and do it in the moment, not making it in bulk, it would be 10 cents that would cost me per application for the most natural cleanser that you could ever have on the planet, that your skin won't have to fight against, that your system won't rebel against and become inflamed. 10 cents, 250 applications. This is what we're talking about. So in doTERRA land, where we then go, okay, what else can we use tea tree for? What else is it? First aid? Can we use it for cleaning in and around our home? What can we eliminate then? All of a sudden, that effort-driven reward cycle that you've applied to your beauty regime is rippling into every other area of your lifestyle. That is an amazing feeling. So lavender essential oil, 15 ml bottle. So generally, based on the 15 ml bottles, they're around that 250 drops. doTERRA membership with the wholesale prices, it's $27.75. So you're looking at 11 cents per application for lavender essential oil. So that is, jump online and have a look at the cost of an antihistamine, the cost of all these fancy oils and lotions and things that you apply after you've been bitten by a mozzie, and like the cost of things and the excessiveness when you walk through a place like Priceline and the big chemists, it's overwhelming. But when you know that there's nothing additional, there's no additives other than lavender in this bottle, it is all it needs to be, and I can apply it to my skin. It is such a beautiful feeling and so cost effective. It's pretty amazing when you look at that, isn't it? Like the price per drop, 10 cents, 11 cents. So what are the costs of some of the products that you're, off the top of your head, Inga, that you're up against in the trending?
I haven't even looked, to be honest, but that's how resistant I am. But yeah, she's done a list, but yeah, there's multiples, and it's just not, it's something for everything, instead of this space where we can use it for many things.
Yeah, and that's it. And the actual cost, financial cost, but then the cost, like the health cost. So what does this mean to you? Now you're aware that it's going to impact your hormones, it's going to affect your lymph nodes and your glands when you're applying these aluminium filled deodorants and perfumes. That's the actual cost. How does that sit with you? Are you okay with that? Are you aware that, I can show you some information, and my nan's voice echoes in my mind, and I did a blog on the pink ribbon campaigns. Most of the products that are marketed, most of the companies, let's get behind pink ribbon, right, are the very companies that are filled with this shit. It drives me crazy. It's like the biggest contradiction on the planet. I hear my nan, she suffered with breast cancer, originally had one mastectomy, and then later on it returned, obviously, and the chemo and the horror of it. Everyone's affected by it. But her voice was, Rachel, promise me that you won't use deodorant with aluminium in it. Promise me. Like, this is a woman that, filled with a good joke and laugh and doesn't take much seriously. But if she ever saw anything other than an aluminium-free deodorant near me, I couldn't do that, because something about her knew that was the catalyst. It showed up exactly where she was rolling it under her pits. around the time that she'd change it, before she could jump online and Google all the ingredients, because see, they don't have to list them in many cases back then. So yeah, it's deep. It's so deep. It'd be heaps easier not to care, but we care. It'd be heaps easier to just go, oh well. So the Virage skincare system, Inga touched on it. For those families that whose children want to feel like they've got a complete system, it's ready made, it's beautiful, it looks pretty on your bathroom cabinet, it's a beautiful aqua color. It's something they can take to their friends' houses, they can take on their dance camps and be really proud of these products. The Virage skincare system is the bee's knees, the most popular in doTERRA for a reason. And as I said, that DIY element, moving away from that into a ready-made, you will also get that at a doTERRA membership price. So it usually would be $166 for the 4-step program or skincare system. But the wholesale membership, I believe, is around $120 dollars for the system. So it can last, and when you're using that skincare system, around the 2 to 3 months, if you're not like because you don't need much when it's natural, you don't need much, so you're only using really sparing amounts. So when we calculate the cost per application of that skincare system, for 60 days, so for the 2 months supply, we're looking at $2.07 a day, $2.07 a day. So that's a ready-made skincare system that has none of the nasties, that will tick all the socially acceptable boxes of your daughter having a system just like everyone else, but it's not going to compound. It's not going to make her body fight. It's not going to cause hormonal issues, which lead into mental health issues when they don't feel in control of their body and their mind. So $2.07 a day. I don't have comparisons because I'm not allowed to draw exact comparisons to certain other things. All I can talk about is what I know to be true for us and our family. I have loved the doTERRA Virage skincare system for many years. I've been using it with doTERRA now for over 10 years. So it's been incredible. But how have you found the information today? Are there any questions or comments, or has something stirred in you that you're like, oh?
I think if you get like the information and the education about how it's affecting the body, and especially for mums or anyone who has teenage daughters, that information about how these products are going to be impacting the hormones, and then you're going to possibly see these behaviors. I think that would really speak to a lot of people, and even for the girls themselves going, oh, okay, well, this doesn't have to be how it is. Because they don't like to feel that way either.
Yeah. And there's so much, like, I haven't gone down this rabbit hole, but it occurred to me while over the last few months, while I've been diving a bit deeper into this topic. Girls are getting their periods so much earlier now than ever before. And you're like, gee, I wonder why. Like, what's changing? Like, as a society, is it what we're eating? Is it what we're applying? But it's like, if we've started makeup, or if we've started skincare and we're 9, 10, 11, 12, and it's disrupting our natural flow and our natural body, and our estrogen levels and our hormone levels, could there be a link there? Like, these are the questions that run through my mind all the time when I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But I think having the time and having the need to inquire and be forever curious is something that I hope every child has. And the feeling that I get when I watch like our 16-year-old boy make his own wipes for his face, pack his own oils to go away to a market in Canberra this weekend. Then I watched him on social media smash his face on the side of a gutter as he was skateboarding last night. And I was like, oh. And I instantly inboxed him. I was like, how are your teeth? And are you okay? And he's like, oh, I grazed my whole face. My teeth are fine. But I've been applying lavender, and I've got frankincense, and I'm rolling it. Like, he's good. He's covered. I don't have to be there, because this is just such a natural part of our daily lives that he takes what he needs to take with him. and he applies what he needs to apply on himself. And when he turns into a father, he'll be doing the same thing. And with our girls and with our teens, these are just questions, like forever curious, asking deeper questions, exploring, and hoping that when we're not there, they'll have the power and they'll have the confidence to go about life completely sovereign, in standing in their own power, knowing that they actually have a choice and they have a right to ask questions. Why? How? What will this do? Like, that's a huge part of being an aware person, and yeah, sovereign in their own skin, free to ask questions, not just at the mercy, not an endless mindless consumer of things, even though they're bad for us.
Yeah, and I love that. Yeah, Brooke, I think they're making the DIY with their friends is a great way to have the conversations, and even getting them to choose the bottles or whatever that they are called to, and then bring it to, say, our house or something and make it up together. Yeah. So then they have this sense of, we're doing this together. We've got it in the nice bottles. Yeah, I think that
it's aesthetically pleasing, and it's so much more. And I love that, Brooke. Like, you've nailed it. It's like you're coming together. It's sort of like the cooking of a meal, the preparation. Let's break bread. But what they're doing is they're actually pushing back. They don't realize it. Depends what kinds of like conversations they have, but in creating that environment for them, they're pushing back against just being mindless consumers of said product because it's marketed well. But having the aesthetically pleasing bottles and the rollers, like the 10 ml rollers, like when they run out of our essential oils, like, this size, so this is a console, a 10 ml roller, when these run out, we peel the label off and we reuse these rollers for things like spot applications. So Jet will have one with just tea tree in it. He loves yarrow pom. So yarrow pom is like the most incredible, nourishing essential oil blend on the planet, but it's up in the pricey end. So we use our points to pay for that on the loyalty reward system and things like that. But he goes through yarrow pom, and that is, when I smell that, I picture putting him to bed, because I've aromatically anchored, like it's on his face every night. But using the bottles you have and saying to the girls, look, do you have breakouts? Do you have moments or times that you've got little blemishes? Let's make a little roller each, and then we'll make some makeup removers each. Bring along, so just ask them to bring along a cute little container, even if it's a Tupperware little lunch size, a sandwich size container. Or we can all go to Kmart and buy a perfect like glass jar and we all match. But when you're tailoring those makeup removal wipes, they get to play a role in that. Their effort is rewarded. I love that. And that's a huge part of all the experiences, the aromatic experience, the bonding, all of that is pushing back, a subtle pushback against these big companies that are profiting from pushing toxic chemicals onto young girls. But it is a huge part of the belonging. Exactly, Brooke. I instantly thought of a group of girls that would love, Katie, exactly. Yeah, I know exactly the group you're talking about, and we can do that for sure. And what it does then is it creates a new trend, a healthy trend. Oh, I want to do that. I want to have my next birthday. Can we have a little DIY session? And it's like subtle. They might not understand really what it is all about now, but then you say, like, do you realize how cool it is that you're none of these products have any of the bad stuff in it. The conversation is that they're playing a role, and it's so great. So what we want to look at, what they don't realize, and what I'm always looking for, is whatever choices we're making in our life, whether it be food, whether it be skincare, whether it be cleaning, like, how does this and is this affecting who I am and my mental health? Like, sounds outrageous, but our emotional well-being is paramount. So the skin is the largest organ. It absorbs much of what we put on it, and over time the chemicals and the buildup of chemicals can lead to health issues that are ongoing and that do really affect and play a role in affecting mental health. skin irritation, allergic reactions. How many kids are allergic to things these days? There, how many kids were allergic to things when I was young? I know my little Asian mate Duna, he was my little best friend. He was allergic to stuff and had really, 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 really bad psoriasis and eczema. But that's it. That's all I can think of, so it makes me wonder what's going on. Hormone disruption will directly affect your mood, your energy levels, and your mental health. So hormone imbalances are particularly concerning for teens during those adolescent years. Hormone levels are fluctuating already. Introducing toxic chemicals into their skincare range while their body is fluctuating and trying to work itself out can worsen everything and amplify everything. So the hormonal imbalances then will lead to the breakouts, fatigue, emotional disturbances, mood swings, anxiety. So yes, what we apply to our skin directly affects our mental health, whether we realize it or not. And what our job is as parents is to make our children aware, as Inga said, ask powerful questions and help them play a role in choosing products that are better for their skin long term. So, Inga, did you have any closing thoughts or anything that really stood out to you in terms of the mental side of this? Because obviously being involved hugely in the trauma area and the counselling area.
Mm-hmm. I think having the belonging and the acceptance at the forefront of our minds, it's not because they want to rebel against us and all of that. It's more so they are very much driven by this natural developmental age to belong and be accepted, and then always getting curious as to what is going on behind behaviours and these needs and wants, and drilling down on that so that they can feel as though they're seen, valued and heard in how they're experiencing life, and also accepted by us to feel this way and want the things that they want, but also educating them further as to what the other side of things looks and feels like for both the now and the future.
Yeah, thank you. It's so powerful. And at the end of the day, it's encouraging them to become leaders in every sense of the word and not mindlessly following trends just because. So as we progress, from this point, I'll send out some information. Inga will be posting some information on what we've spoken about today. A few of the recipes that we've covered, the essential oils that we've covered, including the price differences and the encouragement towards that. It's a journey. It's not like in one day you can completely change and eliminate everything because you're going to get that rebellion and that pushback. Why, mum? Why are you being like this? It's actually sitting with them in that and exploring these powerful questions, making them aware, consciously participating in their choices, and that will play a role as they grow into young women and into mums themselves. So it's a journey and we're all on it, but I think these conversations are really important, so we'll keep them going.
And I think it does, like if you feel like you're not getting through as they get older, they will. Like my older girls, Zell had that she was in this musical, and one of her 17-year-old sister went to Whole Life Chemist where Zell's older sister works and got products from there to give Zell. Like she got her face mask and things like that. So that's also, I guess, a side benefit of or something that is great in building connection when the older siblings are having that influence as well.
Yeah, so true. And we're all learning from one another, and like the input, like I said, the stories that we can share with each other, coming together, discussing these important questions, that's important for the kids as well. Siblings, they watch, they do as we do, not as we say. And there she is. But basically everything we do and every choice we make and every conversation we have is never to push back and to make our children feel less than. It's to explore how we can bring out the best in them and empower them to bring out the best in themselves. So I always say to my boys, I'm not the enemy. I'm not not here against you. I'm not challenging you and asking you these things because I'm your enemy. I'm your greatest ambassador. I'm your greatest advocate. And when I'm not here, I need you to be the one asking these questions. That's really what it comes down to. Anything to do with health or anything you're putting on your body or anything that is being sold to you, if you're unable to explore and ask questions, you are the product. You are a part of the chain of algorithms and marketing, and it's at your cost, not theirs. So that's the be all and end all of it. But thank you so much. We've gone a little bit over, sorry. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us live today. And also those of you that are watching it back, it's really great to know that you are also part of this conversation for the next generation. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.